It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on in. It's another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Love to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321. If you want to participate in the show today, love to get your thoughts about a variety of different topics. We'll get into, later on in the show, we'll reveal number 8 in our top 25 Aggies for 2024. Continuing to get closer to the start of the Aggie football season. We're going to talk a little bit more about college football today. A couple different reports suggesting there could be more changes in the works to how things work in the postseason for football, how that might affect a conference like the Mountain West and more specifically a school like Utah State. Utah Jazz released their full schedule today. We'll take a peek at that schedule, maybe some games or dates of note, and the U.S. men's national team for soccer announcing their new head coach, essentially. So
yeah, I don't know if they've officially announced it, but all the reports are out. Maybe. I'm not sure the timeline there.
News is out.
Yeah, the news is out. Everyone knows, being reported everywhere, it's happening, but maybe the men's national team hasn't explicitly announced it yet.
Right.
It's unofficially official.
Unofficially official. There you go.
Or maybe officially official. I should double check. Maybe it's changed. I wrote that in there like this morning, so things could have changed in the last 5 hours.
So a variety of different topics. Love to hear from you on any of these or anything else that you've heard of that we're not discussing that perhaps we should. We'll always love to hear from you on that. So let's start off with news today, reports in both Sports Illustrated and Yahoo Sports that there is some discussion about the new college football playoff, which begins this year, but also about I don't know what the right word would be. Parity? That doesn't even seem the right word, but opportunity is probably the better term. Opportunity for something to do in the postseason beyond just bowl games for a group of 5 schools like Utah State. And so, and even Mountain West Conference Commissioner Gloria Nevarez going so far as to call it a college football NIT.
Yeah, just kind of interesting. It was Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports who was kind of first reporting on this. There's going to be this kind of conference of conference commissioners. I don't know, some kind of meeting in Dallas later on, I believe next week. And they're going to discuss a bunch of things. And a lot of Ross's article had to do with, the expanded playoff and these group of 5 teams trying to, keep their slice of it that they have and not have, the Power 4 conferences, or really more likely just the Big Ten and the SEC, as they try and throw their ever-expanding weight around to get more money to them and less money to literally everyone else. So that's what a lot of the article there is on. But one little snippet was this idea, and it wasn't expanded on a ton. But obviously there was a quote from Gloria Nevarez kind of regarding it. And that is, basically a group of 5 playoff. Now, that's not the first time we've heard of having a group of 5 specific playoff. We've heard these rumblings before, just different things. But hey, let's have a playoff for the group of 5, since you get 1 spot out of 12 for the group of 5, and it's entirely possible that the first time that an unranked G5 team ends up in the playoff, there's going to be a ton of whining about it.
Yeah, so much controversy.
All those teams that are ranked, 9 through 15, teams that are either just barely missing, or maybe they just barely make it, and they end up, missing because Boise State, who may be unranked, may be ranked, because maybe they get in. Or like last year it would have been Liberty, these teams. And Liberty got kind of blown out in the bowl game that they appeared in. But that noise could happen where, they may not be happy with the G5 team. Maybe the Group of 5 gets pushed out altogether. So there's this idea of a G5 playoff. And Gloria Nevarez did have a quote where she said, quote, "We are open to all that. That would be really interesting and have some value." She said, "What if it's like an NIT of football?" Which is the phrase that you obviously mentioned. Basically, this it's not like the playoff. With the NIT, it's this secondary thing that mostly it's just the teams that are in it seem to care about it. Nobody really pays attention to it outside of it. But it's something that for the Group of 5, it could be if you can pull it off, it'd be a more exciting bowl season. Because that's basically what you have for the Group of 5 teams at this point is, if you're not the team that's going to end up in the playoff, then really all you have is, well, we hope we get a decent bowl game and a decent opponent, and we hope that the fans show up for that bowl game and that our star players don't opt out of it.
Yes. Yeah, so Nevarez, or was it one of the other commissioners, made it very clear, like we're not yielding on access to the college football 12-team playoff.
Yeah, that was the MAC commissioner.
Yeah, we still demand access to that. But is there something else that could be done to make the postseason a little bit more interesting? Because, look, bowl season has its pros and its cons. It's an opportunity to go play somebody you normally wouldn't play in a venue you normally wouldn't play in sometimes. Unless you're going to Boise for the Potato Bowl. It's like, yeah, we've been there lots of times.
Yeah, I recognize this place.
But it's an opportunity to go do something different, play someone different, and if you're lucky, get a little bit of extra cash on the side. But the bowl payouts are very misleading. It's very dependent on how many tickets you sell for your allotment. So a lot of times when teams go bowling, they lose money. More often than not, teams are not bringing home a big fat paycheck when they go bowling. So you're right. It's a time of year where you've got the transfer portal that opens up. We got star players deciding if they want to play or not. And so you got coaches getting fired or leaving for new jobs. There's a lot of uncertainty at the immediate end of the regular season between then and when the ultimate national champion is decided.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this weirdness in December for college football. And if there's something that could make it more interesting, more compelling than what we have, I'm in favor of exploring it, at least taking a look at it.
Yeah, and there's things that we need to fix with that whole December. One of those being the transfer portal opening up and coaches leaving to, we need to have some kind of moratorium on A, hiring coaches, and B, entering the transfer portal during that time so we can try and fix, because that's where bowl season is falling apart. And I think that's the biggest reason why one of the biggest reasons why I think an expanded playoff and maybe even a Group of 5 playoff may be a better future, because the bowl model we have is falling apart. People are less and less interested. The payouts for teams are less and less worth it. And for the sponsors, it's becoming less and less worth it. That's why there's so much turnover with all the different names and owners of the sponsors. Why ESPN owns like all of the bowl games, because they can afford to do it. And when independent people or groups have tried to sponsor a bowl game, they pull out after a year or two because they're like, yeah, this ain't worth it.
Right.
So
the only way it works for ESPN is because they have so much inventory to fill for their national advertisers that it provides filler for them midweek, midday games that otherwise, what else are they going to really show that's compelling?
Yeah, so one way or another, a lot of these bowl games are just going to slowly die. Only held up maybe by ESPN, but if you can find a better option, I think that's the way you should eventually go. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily the way or a perfect way, but as you said, I think it's something that ought to be explored. The one thing that I found really interesting with this whole idea of a G5 playoff was the reaction from a lot of people. I just went on social media, looked at some of the replies and quote tweets and whatnot to Ross Dellinger's original post, and there's a bunch of people saying this is terrible, no way to do this. I saw one South Florida fan saying we need to leave the AAC as soon as possible. I'm like, where are you going to go, son?
Yeah, that's right.
Just absolutely hating on this idea because, well, there's this obvious, when you call it the NIT of college football, one comment was essentially the person who said NIT of college football and thought of it as a serious idea should be fired immediately. Because it sounds maybe kind of is demeaning to have this secondary playoff that everyone knows isn't the, legitimate playoff. And even in a group of 5 playoff, you won't even include the best group of 5 team because they'll be in a different tournament.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So there are some potential issues there, but this idea of, okay, you're basically making a tournament that and everyone knows is playing second fiddle to the real playoff, but you're already going to be playing second fiddle to them anyway. That's inevitable. The distance is going to get bigger between the haves and the have-nots. It's been getting bigger, and it's only going to get worse with the college football playoff and NIL, and potentially we're going to have private equity that may be getting involved. So the gap's going to get bigger. So unless you think you can stop it, like USF fans, if you think you can stop what's happening between the Power 4 and the G5, please go ahead and do it so we can stop it, so that we can have rough equality in college football, at least something close to equality. But unless you think you're actually going to stop this inevitable march of the Big Ten and SEC just swallowing all of the money in college football, why not do something that can be fun? Have a playoff with a bunch of these teams. What do you got to lose at that point?
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And one thing that I'm not, again, this is very, very early stages, but I'm not really sure, is this a multi-game event?
Well, it's a playoff.
So it would need to be. But they would want to do it within the framework of the current bowl system, which smaller group of 5 schools, they don't have the budget to be sending their teams all over the country for additional games outside of the regular schedule. It's tough enough for a lot of these institutions to even meet their budgets. So maybe it is going to be more regional. Maybe you end up facing the same schools on the regular, but to make it in a true playoff format, somebody would need to travel a large distance. And are you hosting any games or just within the framework of the bowl system? So yeah, there's a lot that still needs to be figured out here.
Yeah, well, the motivation behind this, and Eric, you can probably guess the motivation behind this group of 5 playoff. It's a 5-letter word, begins with M, rhymes with honey. The whole point of doing a G5 playoff is for an extra revenue stream. So if they're going to do it, it's going to mean that they're getting some revenue boost, which would pay for travel, all those extra budgetary things. It would have to be an improvement on the money they're getting from the bowl games. So if that doesn't end up being the case, if it doesn't make more money, it would basically come down to what kind of media deal can they get. That'd be most of it. Would ESPN abandon those bowl games, or a lot of the bowl games, and have a group of 5 playoff? If they can get more money out of that system, then you'll probably have a group of 5 playoff. If not, it's not going to happen because it is purely down to money. Group of 5 teams are motivated by money just as much as the Big Ten and the SEC. There's just less of it. So, yeah, if the money is there, they're going to make it work. And whether it would be within the old bowl structure, which, I don't know, I don't like the idea that we're just marrying ourselves to this bowl structure and saying we have to have these. We have the expanded playoff. It has to be made up of the Orange Bowl and the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. We have to still keep having these bowl games. As if we're not already slaughtering the legacy of these bowl games by having them be, oh yeah, you're like a quarterfinal game. Nobody cares about you. Yeah. Nobody's going to hang a Fiesta Bowl trophy if they, won in the first round and then got blown out by 50 in the next game in the Orange Bowl. The legacy of the bowl games is dying, especially the higher up ones. They're going to become unrecognizable because they're gonna rotate through. So like the Orange Bowl 1 year will probably, like if I understand it right, it'll be 1 year it'll be a first round game. The next year it might be the championship game. Like in the Rose Bowl, I think they're gonna actually they might actually stay stuck in one round because they're emphasizing always being on New Year's Day.
Right.
Like that's their thing. They're at least hanging on to some tradition, but then they become stagnant. They're always a semifinal or whatever game that'll be. So I don't think we need to be marrying ourselves in just refusing to step away from, there has to be a Potato Bowl and there has to be a Sun Bowl and all that. If we're going to move on from that system, just move on. Who really cares at this point?
Yeah, there are a lot of meaningless bowls that have weird sponsors that
it's basically all of them.
No one really pays attention to. Nothing really is interesting in the bowl season outside of maybe you watching your own individual team. But the bowl system as a system overall isn't interesting until close to New Year's.
Yeah, like can you name?
So it's really only interesting for 10 days?
Can you name like 3 bowl games that have at this point a history and meaning to the sport of college football that has to be preserved one way or another? Everyone can name one, and it's the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
there are obviously big bowl games, but does anybody care if the Orange Bowl dies or if the Peach Bowl dies? Like they have 100 years of history.
Yeah. I'd argue that means something.
But we've already cast that aside anyway,
and it already brings in millions and millions of dollars, and those who participate earn legitimately fat paychecks. But like the Arizona Bowl, the New Mexico Bowl, the Idaho Potato Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl even. There's a lot like that they could disappear and no one would notice outside of those people on the committee who would wave their flags about their own personal tradition. But as far as the landscape of college football and its importance, probably not. Yeah. But my real question here is, does it mirror the college football playoff? Are 12 teams invited? Do they operate under a similar framework as far as when games happen? Are they the lead-ins, or do they happen earlier? That's if it follows that 12-game playoff, that's potentially 4 games that a team could be played. There could be some teams who earn a first-round bye, like the college football playoff, but there is the potential that some teams, if they play well, could end up playing 4 games. I think so. Now you're stretching more than just a few teams into mid-January. You're stretching a lot more teams into late December and mid-January.
I think you try to limit it. Don't have 12. Just have, 6 or 8, or try and only have 2 or 3 games. Because one, unlike the college football playoff where there's going to be this giant gap in parity between like the 1, 2, and 3 who are just way better than everyone else typically and are often blowing each other out anyway. We've had a 14 playoff for how many years, and 80% of the games are blowouts. There's going to be a lack of parity in that in the 12-team playoff. But I think if you took the top, again, pick your favorite 6, 4, 6, 8, whatever, how many teams you want, you could find a decent amount of parity there with these in a lot of years between these G5 teams.
Well, and I guess that's my other question to follow up with this. If it's 12 teams, could you find 12 teams from the group of 5 that will make really interesting, compelling television when they play against each other?
Yeah, 12 I think would be a stretch, and that's why I think you limit it because you get a little bit more parity. You're also reaching...
there's clearly 12 teams that'll be going bowling.
Yeah.
But would there be 12 teams that are good that are going to be like, ooh, that's a saucy matchup?
Yeah, you're also reaching into teams where, at the back end of that, you're probably going to be finding some 7-5 teams.
Right. You're going to be finding some teams that are second, third in their conference standings, that maybe even fourth in their conference standings, depending on how a conference ends up.
Yeah.
But is that really what you want to see?
I don't think it would be a bad idea to basically have, and maybe use this as a starting point and consider expanding beyond it, but just have. So the highest G5 champion goes to the playoff. Take the other 4-team playoff. Like, is that a terrible? Like, it almost feels like too few teams, but like, people really seem to like the idea of, hey, if you
there are 4 conference champions.
Yeah, you got to win a conference champion. Yeah. There's no debate on who makes it in. It's you win your conference championship, and if you're not the one that makes the playoff, well, we'll play it. It's 2 games. I don't think that. I just barely thought of that. I don't think that would be the worst.
It's not a bad idea, right? And it continues to put more emphasis on the regular season to get to your own conference championship game and to win your conference championship game.
Yeah, and
I think there's the value in not just earning more games, but earning it on playing your way into maybe a little bit larger opportunity.
Yeah, and I think you want to try and avoid having it run up against, or be alongside the college football playoff. You want it to happen before. You don't want it to happen after, because at that point people are going to stop caring. Be like the Pro Bowl. You want it to be just heavy before. It'll kind of be in the middle of some of these playoff games or some of these bowl games if they're still happening. In volume, at least 10, 15 years down the line. So, I don't think that would be a bad idea. And if you wanted to expand it to be like the top 2, like the conference champions plus teams that make a conference championship game, of course, then at that point maybe you're devaluing winning the conference championship. So that's a debate you can certainly have. But I think a really good start would be, let's just have a 4-team playoff with the group of 5 champions that don't make the playoff and go from there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you abandon it, go back to playing in the Potato Bowl again, I guess.
That's
or the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl sponsored by Gronk and pit bulls involved probably at some point down the line.
With dancing Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, all that stuff. If you like that, then whatever.
All right, so if you want to weigh in on that, love to hear your thoughts. 435-339-0321. Should group of 5 conferences, should they consider establishing their own playoff that features only teams within group of 5 conferences? How would it be structured? Who would be invited to participate? 435-339-0321. Let's see, 8968 before we go to timeout. About the bowl games was bigger schools made it almost impossible for other schools to get a bowl game. That was the reason BYU Bowl was created in the 70s.
Yeah, no, Utah State actually, like early on, a lot of it just had to do with conference affiliation and winning a conference title. Like Utah State, by modern standards, should have made like an extra 3 bowls in the 70s, but they were independent and they were shunned for bowl games. Like BYU got.
Well, there just weren't very many bowl games.
Yeah,
to go around.
That was another thing, is that there weren't as many, and they were basically, it was unlike how we used to think of it, whereas you win a conference and you go to that conference's bowl game that's designated for the champion. It was a lot more rigid like that. And so, yeah, there were a couple of years where BYU was like worse than Utah State, and Utah State beat them, but they didn't get into the bowl game because they were independent, and BYU was in the whatever.
They had a conference affiliation.
Yeah, they had the conference affiliation. So,
all right, got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. And when we come back, we will reveal number 8 in our latest Top 25 Aggies of 2024. Who it's going to be, we'll find out next on the Full Court Press.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley, or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Elements has delicious lunch specials. Soup, salad, and bread for just $10 is tasty and quick. Elements' lunch menu is full of scrumptious items. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecued chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite, Chipotle fried chicken sandwich. Thursdays, enjoy Elements house-made smoked brisket. Casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations.
Medicare, Social Security? Come and be our guest the third Thursday, August 15th at 7 p.m. Hi, this is Rusty Allen with LSS Insurance, inviting you to plan ahead. Come learn about your Medicare options, giving you the confidence needed to make these important decisions. Call 752-9493. The seminar is free. The information is valuable. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493 to RSVP. Come learn about your Medicare options the third Thursday, August 15th.
Ah, the t-shirt. It's the unofficial clothing of summer. We all have a favorite t-shirt. The Logo Shop has custom screen printed over 1 million t-shirts for teams, clubs, businesses, family reunions, fundraisers, marathons, bike races. One-of-a-kind designs with creative graphics, even funny phrases. Whether you need a couple dozen or a couple thousand, the team at the Logo Shop will help with your one-of-a-kind design. From concept to creation. Order your custom t-shirts from the Logo Shop.
The Logo Shop. Logo stuff. The Logo Shop.
Looking for a career with stability and benefits that go beyond the paycheck? Schreiber Foods in Logan needs employees for a new addition. Enjoy a set schedule that gives you more time with family. Enjoy access to an on-site healthcare clinic and discounted daycare for your little ones. Plus, Schreiber Foods in Logan will match your current wages and contribute up to 8% to your 401k. Yes, the future is bright at Schreiber Foods in Logan. Secure your spot today and see how they can help you grow. Apply online at schreiberfoods.com/career.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. Again, if you want to weigh in on this idea of a group of 5 postseason playoffs, similar to an NIT, would you be in favor of that? And that could affect Utah State, the Mountain West for sure. 435-339-0321. But before we continue any more on that, we need to continue on our rundown of our ranking of Utah State football players coming into this 2024 football season. We're up to number 8 on our list.
Down to number 8 in the Cache Valley Media Group's Top 25 Aggies of 2024, and it's the 5'11" junior cornerback Avante Dickerson. Avante transferred to Utah State from Oregon prior to the 2023 season and proceeded to start 7 games and 11 overall appearances for the Aggies. In those games, Avante recorded 17 tackles and had 6 pass breakups, which was tied for second on the team. He's expected to be the top corner for Utah State this upcoming season. The number 8 player in the top 25 Aggies of 2024, Avante Dickerson.
Interestingly enough, Avante Dickerson on the polls that were submitted, coming in at 18 on some ones, 8, 9, 5, and 19. So kind of interesting variety there of votes coming in for Avante Dickerson. But the way that the math works out, he comes in at number 8. And look, here's somebody who kind of arrived late on campus last year, kind of took some time to work into the lineup, but he's one of these guys that we've talked about that has a lot of experience behind him coming into this season who can really help that secondary for Utah State. Yeah,
he's a very good player, and I think underrated. He didn't have a whole lot of tackles, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was pretty good at his job. You look at Pro Football Focus, they have their tracking data and of players that had at least 125 coverage snaps last year in the Mountain West. Dickerson had let's see. I got to phrase this the right way because it's kind of convoluted. But quarterbacks, when throwing to the guy Avante Dickerson was covering, only completed about 38% of their passes, which among the corners who had at least 125 coverage snaps, that was the second best, or you could say second lowest completion percentage among all those players. So Dickerson did his job well, and quarterbacks didn't look to him often. When they did, they weren't often successful, and he also didn't give up a single touchdown. So he just quietly did his job over on his half of the field. And we're expecting him to do a lot of that this season, where he's got good size, 5'11". He's not like this super tall cornerback, but he's got good size, really good speed, athleticism. And he's one of those veteran guys that Nate Dreiling is looked to like, hey, look, we don't need you to play a ton in fall camp because he didn't play in the scrimmage. Because, we know what we got out of you. We think you're going to be one of the better players on this team. We're going to look at some other guys to develop them because he trusts that Avante Dickerson, when he steps out onto the field week 1, is going to be the best corner on this team and one of the best in the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. So Avante Dickerson coming in at number 8 on our list of top 25 Aggies for 2024, the junior cornerback from Omaha, Nebraska. And I had a chance to catch up with Avante at the start of fall camp just to get his thoughts of this upcoming season and changes on defense and things like that, and just how his role might be more important for this football team this season. Avante Dickerson, cornerback for Utah State. First of all, let's just start off with kind of your role last year and kind of what you've been working on to develop into be able to take a larger role this season.
I just wanted to focus on being healthy. At first, I didn't play the whole season healthy. I started 7 games dealing with a shoulder injury. This whole off season, I just dealt with going to treatment and doing that work. But other than that, I'm just trying to focus on being a leader and trying to do the best what I can do for this team.
How do you feel? How is your health coming into fall camp?
Oh, I feel 100%. I'm ready to go. This is like my first time in a while. We're playing football healthy, so it's good to go.
Playing hurt, that's not fun for anybody, but that causes you sometimes to not be able to go full speed. Sometimes you have to sit on the sidelines. What were some of the things that you observed and learned from your recovery or watching the other players and the team kind of move on?
I think just sitting on the sideline, I think you just learn being a good teammate. Cheering on everybody else. When you cheer everybody else on and then you build that bond, then nobody can break it. And when you have that bond, then you can go undefeated to winning championships on top of championships. So that's what I learned.
This is a secondary for Utah State that has a lot of experience and depth. So I guess how does that challenge you as a player to make sure you're getting time on the field?
I think we just got to stay mentally strong and mentally together. I think no matter who's on the field and no matter who's on the field is going to get it done and get the job done. So if I'm on the field, even if I'm not on the field, somebody's going to get the job done no matter what.
You got to observe Nate Dreiling in the spring as a defensive coordinator. Now he's obviously elevated to the head coach in addition. But what did you observe from him in trying to lead and kind of reshape this defense?
I think he deserves a job. I think it was well given to him. No one else deserves it. I think meeting him when he first came, it was good because he was at Oregon, but he left like a couple months before, so I didn't get to meet him. But other than that, he's a good guy, and I'm glad he got the job.
It's been a lot of noise, especially last month, and even challenges with the passing of Andre Selden. I mean, what has all this done for the team? Is it caused a lot of distraction among the team, or is it caused to help the team come together?
I mean, adversity is always going to hit you no matter what in life. It's just how you're going to take it, and I think we're taking it pretty good right now, and we're just focused on winning that Mountain West Championship right now.
So I want you to speak a little bit about your position coach, Jalen Ortiz, and just your relationship with him and how he's helping your squad.
Oh, me and him been close. Me and him was at Oregon as well, so he was actually like my position coach, so I was talking to him all the time. So me and him knew each other before he came here. So when he texted me he was coming here, I was excited. So me and his bond never broke apart after that.
Are there things that you're looking for specifically, like for yourself, certain benchmarks to determine if you're having a successful season or not, or the things that you're trying to accomplish this season?
I think just being able to play with the guys on the team and just winning the Mountain West Championship, that's all that matters to me. I don't really care about the stat line, Jim Thorpe Award. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as we're winning championships, and that's all that matters.
Well, best of luck as things get really kicking off here pretty soon here at Logan. So best of luck, and thank you for your time, Avante Dickerson.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Avante is one of a number of experienced guys in that secondary at the cornerback position. As mentioned, he's a junior, and there's Devon Graham II, who's a redshirt junior. There's Jaden Francois, who's a graduate senior. There's E.J. Fisk Jr., he's a junior. Mason Edwards is a junior. Courage Ugo is a junior. Then you've got Noah Flores, who is a redshirt freshman. Cool video they just posted last night about him earning a scholarship. And then J.D. Drew, who's a sophomore. So of any younger guys here, some of them already have some playing experience, but there's a lot of experience in that at the cornerback position for Utah State.
Yeah, and it's why when you look at corner and safety, like those are considered the strength of the team, or at least most experienced positions. Because I was looking at the position rankings from Phil Steele and Athlon, or like the unit rankings, I think they called them, where they had, I think Phil Steele had Utah State 4th in the Mountain West, and Athlon had Utah State 5th among the defensive backs. I may have those backwards, but essentially 4th and 5th. So, which is a lot better than things like their O-line and quarterback and some of these other positions where they aren't nearly as high on him. Probably the only one that's better is wide receiver, who those rankings were based on when Micah Davis was still around, but you also got Jalen Royals. So this is expected to be a position of strength. There aren't a whole lot of questions about Utah State when it comes to defensive backs. There are a lot of questions when it comes to, well, everywhere else on the defense. And also because that's where the biggest problems were on the defense last year.
Right, but you've got guys, some of these guys have great size. Mason Edwards, he's 6'2". Courage Ugo, 6'1". A number of these guys are 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, they're not stuck with the 5'7" corners like they used to be.
Right.
It's a lot of guys with better size because you're also facing a lot more of 6'3", 6'2", 6'5" wide receivers. I may have said 6'5" twice. But, yeah, you got to face taller wide receivers and more athletic, and the Aggies are getting taller and more athletic corners. So I like what I've seen with the recruiting they've done. They've got guys who are former Power 5 guys, like Avante Dickerson coming from Oregon, Devon Graham coming from Oklahoma. I forget where J.D. Drew come from, or if he was just already always on the Aggies. I can't remember where his origins were. But, of course, a lot of them are junior college guys. E.J. Fisk, Courage Ugo, I believe, was a junior college guy. Mason Edwards, I think, was also a JUCO guy. So a good mix of guys who went the JUCO route, some who went Power 5, some who just have been around the entire time.
Yeah, J.D. Drew, he's been here for a while.
Yeah, so a mix of all of them. He's expected to be the guy starting across from on the other side of the field from Avante Dickerson. Him, J.D. Drew and Dickerson are expected to be probably your two starting corners, but a lot of other guys, Devon Graham, I think will play a lot. So it's going to be, I think, a decently deep cornerback room with a lot of talent there that has yet to be showcased, which is why there's some people that are sleeping. Like Dickerson didn't get any all-conference consideration from anyone, which I think is a mistake.
Right, agreed. And this is a position where you're out on an island. It's a one-on-one game. When that ball goes in the air, it's just two guys streaking down the field, and everybody's watching you. And then, so that you have to have confidence, you have to have some ego that you can take on a guy that's trying to score on you, but you also have to have short memory. And if something happens, you got to put it behind you and move on and get ready for the next play because there's a chance they're going to come at you again.
Yeah, we've seen that. This is more of a specific to safety because Ike Larson had that against San Diego State where he blew a coverage bad against San Diego State, and that allowed that game to ultimately go to overtime. Well, what do you know? In overtime, Ike Larson gets the winning interception.
Right.
So you just gotta stick to it. Make sure you're doing the right thing. And look, you're gonna screw up, and especially as a defensive back, your screw ups can be a lot more noticeable. If you trip, you just gave up an 80-yard touchdown. Sorry, it's a human mistake, but that's the result of their human mistakes is giving up those giant plays. But, you just got to have that short memory. It's like when a quarterback throws an interception. It's like, all right, you screwed up. We'll go back on film and look at it, but until then, don't think about it because it's not going to help you.
No. More on that discussion will continue, and some more Aggies on different watch lists. We'll tell you who they are next on the Full Court Press.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic now have an office located inside the Miller Medical Building in Tremonton. An additional office open every Friday. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is the 2024 Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for ear, nose, and throat medical offices and is now located in North Logan, Providence, and Tremonton. Schedule your appointment for an office near you. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including Select Med, are accepted.
Make it 4 years in a row. Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named the gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
For more than a century, couples have shopped at S.C. Needham Jewelers. Known for a large selection of beautiful diamonds, we now have both natural and lab-grown diamonds. You are sure to find a diamond engagement ring that will fit your budget. The possibilities today are endless as you select the perfect ring. Show her you'll cherish her forever with a diamond, either natural or lab-grown, from the store where Utah gets engaged. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Saturday on the Las Vegas Raiders Radio Network, 2 historic franchises square off in the preseason as the Raiders host the Dallas Cowboys. Hi, this is Tim Case. Join us as Max Crosby and the Raiders take on Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. It's week 2 of the preseason from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Raiders, Cowboys. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Pregame begins Saturday night at 7:30 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Wonder is timeless. Discovery is everlasting. And exploration is never-ending. At Loveland Living Planet Aquarium, we cherish the unforgettable memories you've shared with us for the past 25 years. Thank you for being a part of our story. Visit livingplanetaquarium.org to embark on a new adventure and continue our journey together.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. If you want to chime in, love to hear from you. 435-339-0321. And we did get a text from 9315. Earlier we were discussing this. It's not really technically a proposal. It's just an idea. What if the G5, a group of 5 conferences, created their own playoff? Make it like an invitational, similar to the NIT in basketball.
You're not gonna let us into the playoff. We'll make our own playoff.
Yeah.
With blackjack.
We'll show you. 9315 says anything that elevates your program so someday you can get into a bigger and better conference is good. I'm not sure a G5 playoff equalizer is that.
Well, again, it comes down to, can you do it in a way that it gets you more money? Because that's what everyone's chasing. Is they're chasing the big paycheck. Like, the reason these teams are moving conferences is because of the media deals. They're going to hand them a bigger yearly
For some,
paycheck. It is a bigly paycheck. So if you can make a playoff and you can get a big paycheck, or as I would say, a bigly paycheck, because of this playoff, you're going to do it because that actually would help you, because the more money you inject into your program, the better potential you have to get into a bigger conference. But one thing I should say is, like, if you're Utah State, like, you're never going to actually close the gap between the bigger teams, because let me ask this, Eric. So Utah State, one point they were in the Skyline Conference. Now they're in the Mountain West. They're technically like 2 or 3 conferences above, so to speak, where they were in the 1960s. Are they any closer to BYU and Utah in terms of being on equal footing?
Oh, heavens no.
Oh, because BYU, Utah went to the WAC. Utah State eventually got into the WAC. BYU, Utah, actually,
they were already left.
Yeah, I can't remember if they'd already left or They came in and then later they left. Same thing happened in the Mountain West. Like, say Utah State eventually gets into the Big 12. Well, that'd probably mean that Utah and BYU, who've moved on to whatever thing has happened around the Big Ten and SEC.
Whatever brand super conference you want to name it.
Yeah, whatever may end up happening there. So the gap is never going to close unless, like, everyone in Cache Valley wins the lottery and then immediately sends all that money to Utah State. So you're never going to be in the conference. You're always going to be in whatever equivalent is of right now's G5, the step below. So you're going to kind of have to accept that eventually.
Right, you're just not a resource-rich institution.
Yeah, like people want to say, hey, look, we're all in FBS. Well, the reality is we're eventually going to have either an official split or we'll just always have the informal split between FBS P4 and FBS G5. We want to pretend that that's going to change and someday Utah State's going to be somewhat equal to these P4 conferences. Look, I just don't see that happening unless a lot of you become billionaires really quickly. Still working on that, me though.
I mean, some of these lotteries get up in that territory.
But. Yeah, you might be able, if you can go up there and play the Mega Millions or whatever. I don't condone gambling at all in it, but you know, they have one in Idaho. Wendover's a place you can go.
True. Just don't
tell them I sent you.
Yeah, don't be like the Notre Dame swim team. You get caught when you're doing something you shouldn't do.
I was telling Eric before, what happens when we turn all of the young people into degenerate gamblers because we make gambling ubiquitous? Well, it turns out the young people become degenerate gamblers. Who would have thought, Eric?
So weird. It permeates everything.
Yeah, it's like I'm just like shocked Pikachu face. Like, my goodness, who could have seen this coming?
Hey, let's do this. Actually, let's take a quick timeout here on the Full Court Press. But when we come back, there's some Aggies on some additional watch lists, and there's been a lot of them on watch lists this season. A few more added. We'll tell you who they are next here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number one in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Hey Cache Valley, this is Mark at the Sportsman in downtown Logan. We have a bike sale going on right now that you don't want to miss. All bikes from Cannondale, Da Vinci, Marin, and the Electric Bike Company are on sale at huge discounts. If you want an electric bike or a simple mountain bike for commuting to work or school, now is the time to buy. You won't find better prices on bikes than right now at the Sportsman. If you want something a little different, check out our Super 73 e-bikes. It's our huge bike sale going on right now through Labor Day, only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Experience Barrel and Stave on Federal Avenue, where good food, good drinks, and good people meet, using local ingredients to create the most delicious taste possible. Barrel and Stave is a cozy cocktail bar offering a large selection of wines, whiskeys, and cocktails, along with an amazing selection of bar bites and weekly chef specials, guaranteed to tantalize your taste buds. With handmade pasta nights every Tuesday and Thursdays that offer $2 off drafts. Come see what you've been missing. Barrel and Stave, Tuesday through Saturday evenings on Federal Avenue in Logan.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
You work hard, so you expect your oil to work hard, and it's you expect it to do its job, right? So you can count on the oil that you buy at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores. They've got a variety of different oils in store. Make sure they will make sure that you've got recommended the right oil for your vehicle and its purpose. Go check it out. They've got oils that work as hard as you do. It's Napa Auto Parts, stores from Preston to Providence.
So, Eric, it's watch list season, as we all know, and lesser-known watch list, the one that's been around for at least a few years. Basically, there's a long official name, but it's the Polynesian Player of the Year watch list, Polynesian Player of the Year award. And there's about a dozen or so. We were actually counting this up during the break. You were going through the roster and picking out probably about a dozen or so Polynesian players. Though two of them made this watch list. Falepuli Alo and Tavo Motuapawaka, two guys who are expected to start on the offensive line. Alo going to start there at center, and Tavo going to be there at right guard, I think. He's one of the guard spots. I'm pretty sure it's right guard, because I think Wyatt Bull's at left guard. But, yeah, two guys expected to play big roles for the Aggies, and so, I mean, they're probably not going to win. X is probably going to go to some defensive tackle who gets like 15 sacks, but, nice, and it's nice to see the recognition, though, to see two guys, obviously, highlighting those of Polynesian descent and their contribution, because they obviously have a big impact on the football landscape, because there are a lot of dang good Polynesian football players.
Oh, yes, at multiple positions in football. Anytime that you've got players on watch lists, it's a good recognition. Certainly this time of the year, it's all that it is that's nice. It's just doesn't really mean anything, but it is a recognition of here's some players who we think could have some impact on this upcoming season. So we've seen Utah State land players on just about every watch list there is, which is a good recognition of the talent that does exist on this roster.
Yeah, definitely. One thing, so moving on from this, I want to play a fun little game, Eric. In the last about 3 minutes we have before we hit the end of first hour break.
Okay.
And that is, I saw something, it's about NBA points, but divided between which colleges have had players score the most points in the NBA.
Oh.
I want to see if you can guess the top five. I feel like that's something you can probably do. Might be tricky if I put you on the spot, but you wouldn't be surprised by who these top five teams are. Let's see if you can get them.
I'd have to probably put North Carolina.
They're at number 2.
Duke.
They're at number 4.
UCLA.
They're at number 3.
Ooh.
Give you a hint. They all have blue in their color scheme.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
And Kansas.
That's your top five. Kansas number 1. Or excuse me, Kentucky number 1, Kansas number 5. The Blue Bloods. So do you think you can guess the number 6 one?
Oh, Indiana?
Indiana's 7, so you're close.
Okay,
so
that was close.
You got it close there.
Georgetown.
They're ways down. I don't have this numbered, but they're probably around 11 or 12.
Gosh, I don't. All time?
Yeah, all time.
Villanova.
They're just below Georgetown. Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. You'd recognize them. I mean, it's the who's who. It's he's got Arizona, Ohio State, Michigan State, UConn, USC. It's all the good schools. But so you can look at this and you can see the points totals for everyone. For instance, the top teams are in like the 400,000s.
Oh, wow.
But I want to ask, how many points do you think Utah State players have scored across the NBA and ABA history? So you can see the numbers we're looking at the top. Where do you think Utah State stands? Just shot in the dark number.
I'd probably put it in the, 2,500 range.
2,500.
Yeah.
There are like three different players who have had 2,000 plus points for Utah State.
Okay.
So they're a little more than 2,500.
Okay, that's good. I guess I'm overlooking Sam Merrill, who's putting it in right now. But
Sam Merrill's like 5th.
Really?
He has like less than 700 points.
So all told, okay, so I'll say 15,000.
That's pretty good because it's 17,000.
Okay.
That's the total across the ABA, NBA, BAA, all basically major professional basketball history. And can you guess who's number 1?
No.
Nate Williams.
7,709
points. Marv Roberts is number 2. Most of his were in the ABA. He only had like a couple of NBA points. But most of that in the ABA. Ariel Mon, 2,000 points. Shaler Halleman, I might be butchering.
Oh, yeah, Shaler Halleman.
1,500 points. Larry Bunce, 1,100. And then Sam Merrill coming in at, 6th. Then Nemish Keta a couple spots behind him. So, 17,000 points from the Aggies.
Yeah, trying to add to that number.
Yeah, should add.
Bump it up a bit.
Should add a few hundred this upcoming season between Sam Merrill and Nemish Keta. So, just wanted to play a fun little game.
No, that's good. Yeah.
I like playing these guessing games where I make Eric give wrong answers. Except that the last time I did it, he got them all right. So my Olympic sport one.
Oh, that's right.
Well, did you see the whole thing about all the people that are basically bullying that one breakdancer?
Yes.
Because they're terrible people that waste their lives trying to bully the family and friends of somebody who's...
Like, we can watch it and have a laugh, but you don't need to go on social media and post nasty things about her.
Yeah, or again, it's post funny memes and clips on social media. Okay, they may have been embarrassed, but don't go after them. That's just sad.
Yeah, that's dumb. That's way dumb. All right, a lot more coming up next hour. Stick around here on the Full Court Press.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The NFL preseason is a time for young players to make a name for themselves, but it also holds value for NFL veterans as well. The preseason always riddled with injuries. Every year we see one or two important players go down with serious season-long injuries. You never like to see a player stripped of his ability to play the game, but that's the nature of the beast that is the NFL. But it also provides NFL vets an opportunity. Multiple accomplished players still left unsigned. There continues to be a plethora of running backs available, some capable receivers, and some seasoned quarterbacks on the market as well. It's impossible to predict which players will go down this summer, but it's going to happen eventually. So although the preseason often is depicted as an opportunity for young players to leave their mark and make a name for themselves, it can also be just as valuable for those NFL veterans. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.